All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're here with True Fitness Online. This is Lance Dillon, and this is happy. I want to say Happy Founders Day to all the Qs, Omega Psi Phi. You know what I'm saying? It's a very significant day. We got the full moon going on today, and just a lot of information ready to come down the cipher. Okay, so just to cite the sources of information that we have going on today. Number one, we have from Berkeley University. What is this? The Wellness Encyclopedia out of Berkeley. Got some information coming from out of there. I also have Arnold Schwarzenegger's The Encyclopedia of Modern Bodybuilding. Alright, just to show you guys that. Okay, and then the last one, we have Women's Hormones by Pamela Smith, MD. Some real sound sources here, ladies and gentlemen. You know what I'm saying? So we want to go ahead and get into the body. Today's topic, we're dealing with stress and how it affects the body, how you can use stress and harness it to create success in your life, or how it could be the detriment of what you're trying to do as far as physically grow and change your body. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, I got one more thing I want to share with you all, because a lot of times, you know, I get my information from a lot of sources over time, and I've been in the fitness industry since 2006, and so I want to show you all just where I actually come from, so you'll know who I am, where this information is actually coming from, and you know, as again, this is my spiritual journey from vegetarian to vegan, and so my truth may not necessarily be your truth, but it's my job and absolute duty to get you solid information so that you can make some informed choices. Okay, so this is, I want to share my birth chart with you all. So if anyone was actually into chart reading, you know, you can kind of check me out. You know, this is 8/1/81, 8:01 a.m. Okay, and then you can kind of take a look at, you know, some of the balances in my body. You got the elements that I possess. And again, this is my chart. And for those who don't really know what that actually is, it's basically an energy signature of when a person's born and when they actually come through this realm as a soul. And these are basically some signs, symbols of what a person generally comes into this world as, and just potentials that they may achieve or not achieve, you know. But I do work with my chart, and as a progressions chart, I do not look into the progressions as, hey, I'm gonna predict the future, but I do look at it to know when the planets are moving, because the planets are basically representations of your organs inside your body. So if you know when your organs are doing what in conjunction with your brain, because they're also representations in the brain, all the zodiacs are all inside the skull, and it's reflected in the sky. So if you know where different things are, you can kind of tell or have an insight on how to train the body, how to approach situations, and you'll know what's actually approaching you in a lot of instances. So it's not a way to really just say, hey, all right, I know what's going to happen in the future, but it's like, okay, now that I have this insight, what can I do to better myself so I can live in the now and, you know, work with those sources. All right, so just before I present all my information, and even before I train my clients, I do some of that kind of work, and I also go and ask the highest source, the most high creator of all things, to number one, thank him for the knowledge that he's blessed me with. Number two, I seek and ask him for understanding so that I may gain wisdom and be able to give this information back to myself, i.e. the creator of all things, and the people that are watching this information be disseminated. Okay, so the topic of all things today is stress. Stress, we want to go ahead and take a look at it, all right? So what is stress? What is stress? All right, and you gotta excuse me. I just jumped out of the shower and be running out to work here in a second. So, you know what I'm saying? You might see like the water dripping out of my hair, and that's all right, okay? Okay, so stress. Stress is defined as how a person responds to demands, okay? Now, stress is something that generates in the mind of a person. So when we're looking at fitness, we definitely want to look at these three key areas where we're looking at spiritual fitness, mental fitness, and physical fitness. They all work hand in hand. That's the trinity of wellness, okay? All right, so when we're looking at how a person responds to demands, it's linked to perception. And it's basically how you view what you encounter, whether it be internally or externally. Now, there are certain laws associated with things that you ingest and that you encounter. So the more you have knowledge of these things, the greater informed you'll be, so you can make a more informed decision. All right? Okay, so when we're looking at stress, we want to definitely understand that stress can either be a good thing or a bad thing. And we can kind of look at stress as one end of the pole, and say on the other end we can have ease on the other end of the pole. Okay, and what I did, I kind of put together a little diagram for you to see. All right, so I got the stress pole. All right, and if you take a look at the stress pole, you can see that on one end of the pole we have stress. Now, that can be defined as a negative thing because it breaks the body down. Okay, it just breaks different components down in the body, and but the plus side of it breaking down the body, how you can turn it into a positive, is that the body is already equipped with information to adapt to breakdowns. Okay, so we know that the positive to the negative is that, hey, I can use this stress to actually build me up, sort of like a heartbeat. You see, and it balances back out, all right? And then the negative side of a stress would be we release cortisol. Now, cortisol can work with the adaptation phase, or cortisol can burn out your adrenal glands, which sits on top of your kidneys. We'll get into that in a second. All right, so that can be a negative side, and how that's actually reached is if a person spends too much time in the stress response and they overload the stress response, then that breaks the body down completely and it burns out the adrenals, and then you have a lot of things associated with that. Now let's go to the other end of this pole. If we took at the ease factor, all right, now the ease factor is something where somebody can say peace, peace, love, you know, and just live in the peace, love all the time, and they never encounter stress. Now, that may seem like a good thing on one end, which it is, because, you know, things just flow through life at ease, all right? But the negative side to it, especially like if we look at it from a physical standpoint, is if you're going to a gym or in a workout setting and it's at ease, then you have no change. And the body's always seeking progressions. So since the body's still alive, because it can either atrophy and die or progress to something different. So if we don't apply a stress, we have no change. Okay? So the negative side is no change. Because if there's no change, you ultimately decline and start to atrophy. But the positive side is fulfillment. Say like if you were working and you applied stressors to get better at the bench press, and at the beginning you could only get one rep of 135 pounds, okay, and now the plus side of the ease, what if you were able to get 10 repetitions of 135 pounds? That brings a sense of fulfillment, joy, and it enhances the stress response to a place where you begin to produce more testosterone. And now when we talk about testosterone, for males especially, and in females, it brings on a balanced approach, and when those levels are evened out, you can basically get to a point at a mental ease factor. You know what I'm saying? It gives you more confidence. You see, because number one, you couldn't get the weight. Now you can get the weight easy. So now, hey, that's a sense of fulfillment. Would you not agree? All right. So